Hello, it's Denise with Minty Gray Mama, and I'm here today to do a little depth year update. I had decided at the end of last year to do a depth year in 2019, and I did really well. I created like my own, guidelines, and I did really well in January and then not so well in February. So I was just going to kind of share what worked and what didn't work, and because I'm kind of starting fresh, so this is to help me kind of get my thoughts together too. So yeah, so January went really well, and I think that that happens a lot, like as far as motivation goes with like New Year's resolutions and everything. People tend to have that motivation and they tend to, really get started. I know I fall into this category. Like I get really motivated and I do really well. And then, you know, things happen and it's not easy to stick with new habits and things like that. And so my first guideline I had created for myself was to plan all my tarot and book purchases in advance. And I did really well in January. If I wanted to buy a deck, instead of just going to buy it, I would write on my calendar, like I go through and write in my calendar later that month on the day that I planned on buying it. So at least a few weeks in advance. And that actually saved me from several impulse purchases. And because I have a tendency to get really excited about something and I want to just go like get it and just like dive into it. And without thinking it through, like, hey, I've never been interested in this before. Like, and some things, if I came back to it later that month and I wanted to buy it, then I would buy it. I don't know if you can hear that. A whole bunch of sirens as soon as I started this video, but I'm going to keep going. And so it actually worked out really well for me. And anyway, I'm really happy about that guideline. What happened in February was I had some rough moments, a little bit of like extra stress and that kind of thing. And I kind of went back to my retail therapy thing. And I said, you know what, I'm having a very stressful time. I'm just going to buy this one thing to kind of cheer myself up. And then, I'll go back on I'll start again on Monday or, however it is. And what happened was I ended up buying a few too many things. And so the entire month of February, I've just been really struggling. I've purchased several books. I've purchased several decks. Yeah. And I can't think of, there's one purchase I can think of that I had thought about. I'd been back and forth and I finally bought it and that I'm not happy with. Other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with everything I bought. So it's not a matter of, I don't appreciate the things that I got. It's just a matter of I knew coming into this year, I did not need to get anything else because I already have enough stuff. I need to appreciate the stuff that I have and give it some love. And even though there's a lot of other gorgeous things out there, like there's only so much time in a day. And so as much as I love the stuff I have, I'm going to jump back into planning all my purchases in advance, just being really selective because that's just what's best for me right now. And I already have a few things. I went through all the stuff I had wanted that I was excited about that was coming out this year. And I've really pared down what I'm going to be getting. So one difference, if you watch any of my videos, I've done a lot of unboxings because I really, really love getting new decks. Like there's something about getting new decks. And I just love that when they just come out, it's just like an adventure. It's like, it's just, it's something new. And I love that. And yeah, it's just like a fun thing. And so I've done a lot of unboxings. And so there's going to be a lot, fewer unboxings on this channel because I'm not going to be buying so many new things. However, what I'm hoping to do is use the decks that I have and be able to do like more in-depth reviews from like my point of view, of decks that I already own. So it's going to be more of like reviews instead of unboxings. And as much fun as unboxings are, and I'm sad to not do so many, I think I'll be happier in the long run with that. So that is that is about, oh, and so I will continue to try to plan all my purchases in advance because that worked really, really well for me curbing my spending. And because I noticed I do impulse buy a lot, which is something I hadn't noticed until I set this guideline for myself. So I'm learning new things about myself. And yeah, and so that's the story about that. And the next guideline, I think I broke like every guideline that I set for myself. I think I just like absolutely broke it. I was only going to purchase stones from local sources. That's already way out the window. I just got a whole bunch of stones that I purchased online, and I have ordered several more that haven't showed up yet. So I'm excited to show you those. But what I've decided is I love my local stores. I'm glad that they're here. You know, it's important, I think, to support local metaphysical stores because it's just like it's more than just a place to go buy stuff. I mean, they don't do it's different everywhere you go. This bookmark's driving me crazy. I gotta just move that. But it's almost like a place of like community, I think, too. At least one of our local stores here does classes and things like that. And I just think it's so important to support that, to have that in the community. With that being said, I will continue to support them, just not all the time and spend as much money because I do have to have like my own personal boundaries and do what's best for me. But stones, especially, there are certain ones that I'm looking for, and I just decided it's important for me to get what I need to work with, and I can actually get a lot better prices. And so for bigger items, it just works best in my budget. I'm still buying from independent, like small businesses, so I still feel good about it. And so I'm changing that rule completely. I'm actually thinking about getting a subscription box for crystals to kind of, and then not just going and randomly, because the thing about crystals is even more so than decks and books, although books are like kind of like catnip for me, but crystals, like I can walk into, sometimes I can just walk into the store and it seems like all the crystals are calling my name and it's hard to say no. So sometimes it's even easier for me to be selective when I have a little bit more distance and like I don't have like my hands on them. Although that's part of the fun of finding the right crystal is touching them. For me, I have had really good success connecting with pictures and doing like muscle testing with the pictures and online. And so, and it's just easier for me to say no sometimes too. So that's another reason I'm changing that rule. I have not been able to stay off of Amazon and Etsy, and that was one of my guidelines was to only shop on there once a month. And I'm expecting an Amazon order tomorrow. You know, it's just like, and now some of it is like pantry items and you know, certain like personal things like for the household that's not my personal spending, and that's a different thing because this is all about just my personal spending, like for my personal stuff. So but for my, so then I would get on to like go like you know, go buy something for the house and I'm like, oh yeah, let me go look at this book, you know, or whatever. And so it just leads me down a little rabbit hole of Amazon things, and I end up with extra stuff that I don't have time to. I mean, consumables are one thing. Like if you use them, you have time to use them. But like books and decks, I have limited time for that, and it's hard for me to comprehend. Sometimes I think I do have limited time for those, and so I am going to do my best to. While I was going to try to only shop on those once a month, that I think is unrealistic. So I'm going to try to set that to once a week. Not that I'm going to, that doesn't mean buy something, just actually like look on there. So if I want to look up something, I'm going to try to start writing it down. And at the end of the week, then looking on the website, because I've found that I just spend way too much time on there, even if I don't buy anything, like looking at different things. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only person that does it. Like I window shop online and I spend a lot of time on that. And I'm like, I have limited time. Why am I wasting my time on this thing? Like, I don't know. It is like an escape shopping. You know, it's retail therapy. It's like an escape for me, you know, if I have a stressful day and I just need to, like with anything, I just need to find a better way of of dealing with that. So that's something I'm working on. So that's a guideline I'm going to slightly change. I've been okay about sticking to my budget, like for my personal budget. I've been pretty okay about that, but yeah, I think I'm just going to be a little bit more strict about buying actual things like decks and books that I know I'm not going to have time to appreciate. And yeah, I don't want to repeat that too many times. I think I've said that. And let's see, a lot of these are just like other, personal things that don't have to do with tarot or books or any of that. Oh, no new jewelry purchases until I go to one of my favorite stores. Already, yeah, broke that guideline, or did I break it? I don't know what the term is, but I just bought this gorgeous wrap. I'm trying to learn how to wrap my own stones for jewelry. That's something I've always wanted to do. I'm hopefully maybe taking a class this weekend, and I really admire a certain artist, and I purchased a piece just to, like, I don't know, when you start to get into something, you want to surround yourself with that kind of thing. So I purchased a piece of jewelry from an artist that wraps all her own stuff, and it's really gorgeous. And so anyway, yeah, so I've already bought I've bought jewelry, but not that much, so I don't feel too bad about that. And okay, one purchase at a bookstore or metaphysical store, like locally, per month. That guideline is going to go, because I'm just going to be all about not number of times, but just sticking to my budget, and just not buying so much stuff. So I'm totally going to change. Two big things. One, well, I'll save that one because that's the biggest one for last. But my depth year, my things I wanted to study during my depth year, I only have like 8 things written down. But then I realized, because I thought, oh, that's not that bad. That's 8 things. And then I'm like, well, some of those things, are like big, very time consuming to study. So I'm like, well, 8 things is too many. So I am condensing, not condensing, that's not the right word. I'm having like 3 study topics for the entire rest of this year. And I feel really good about that, because, yeah, not to say I can't read a book about another topic, but I'm not going to because what happens is I'm like, oh, that sounds so interesting. I'm really into whatever thing that happens to be. And then I'll go and get like all the stuff, like the books, and try to learn about that. And I've kind of neglected other stuff that I've started. So I'm going to just focus on 3 kind of topics this year for myself, for my personal study. And so, yeah, so that's going to be great. My last thing is, I had written down focus on reading the books that I already have. And that's a big one, because I have a lot of books that I have not read or that I haven't finished. That's the big thing. Like the stack of books next to my bed right now that I have started is like, I've got like 10 books up there that I've started and I haven't finished. And then I just get like squirreled. Like I'll see like a book and I'll be like, that one looks so interesting. Let me just start reading that one, and then I'll finish the rest of these later. And yeah, that hasn't been really, so I haven't, and then I'll buy new ones. Like I'll see a book at the bookstore and be like, oh, I would love to read that. And I'll get that book. And then all the other ones that I've started end up not getting finished. And so I have decided, to challenge myself for the next, until the middle of the year. So let's see, that would be, let's see, 6. So for the next 4 months, I'm going to try to not buy any books, except for, if I ordered a deck, or if I'm getting a deck that has like a guidebook with it, because I'm still going to get a few decks that are coming out that I'm really excited about, but not that many. So with the exception of that, or if it's something that is a continuation of a series that I already have started, then that's an exception. But other than that, I am going to try to just read books that I actually already own. Because I already just ordered more. Like February, I bought a few books. I found some really good prices on some used books at a bookstore, and then I ordered some books. I find a lot of used books online, books that I really want to read. Anyway, I have way too many books that are not getting read. So for the next 4 months, I'm going to try to only read books that I already have, with the exception of if I have a fiction book that I want to read, and I need to get that from the library, then that's fine. Because I find like fiction I can find at our library easier than I can like a lot of like new age metaphysical books and stuff. They don't really have in our library system, like even in other libraries in the system, like to order. Um, I don't know. Like I live in the South, and I guess maybe that's not like a big draw at the library. But a lot of the fiction books that I want to read, I can find there. Um, so yeah. So I'm going to try to just read books. It almost like is one of those things where I know it's good for me, but I don't really want to do it because I have such a thing about buying new books and looking at books. And what will I do with all my free time if I'm not looking at books online to purchase? I'll have to actually read some of the ones I already have. So so I think it'll work out. It's like getting that like momentum going. But that's gonna be my big personal challenge to me until June. I'm going to, like the end of June, I'm going to only try to read books that I already own. So we'll see how that works. Because I've had such a struggle with these guidelines, but I think by changing some of those and altering them, I think I have a little bit better grip on how that's going to work, and hopefully I'll be able to stick with it a little bit better because I've already seen so many benefits. Like even when I'm not followed the guidelines in February, just knowing that they were there and knowing that I wasn't following them like has made me more aware of my purchases. Whereas before I think I made purchases, like not even thinking about it sometimes. Like, oh, I'll just get a couple books here and a couple books there and a couple things over here. And I just wasn't like in my head like as aware of it as I am now, like knowing like, oh, I'm not really supposed to, but I'm gonna, like I've just been more aware of it. So it's been helpful to see what my patterns are when because for me it's for a lot of people depth year is just about studying things in depth, which I'm trying to do that too. But for me, a lot of it is breaking some bad habits around my spending, which is not benefiting me in any way. And this is I might take the entire year of having some issues and then getting back to it again, and I'm fine, I'm just going to keep trying until I get it. But I think that is one of those things where it's going to just really help me break some bad habits. So I'm excited to keep going with it here in March, which is coming up this week. Oh my gosh, like it's almost March, but all right. Well, if you're still listening to me ramble on about my depth year, thank you so much for watching. I feel a lot clearer now. I'm really glad I did this video. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I finally just did it. So I will talk to you later. I hope you all are having a wonderful week, and I'll see you again later. Bye.